Saudi Arabia, a Middle Eastern country located in the Arabian Peninsula, is known for its vast deserts, rich cultural and religious heritage, strict social and religious laws, and one of the world's largest oil exporters, which has greatly influenced its development and economic growth. But in future, Saudi Arabia will not be able to sustain its economic growth as demand for oil will reduce and world will shift to green energy to mitigate the effects of global warming and climate change. Oil for the kingdom is described by many as a resource curse, as it accounts for 30 to 40% of the real GDP of Saudi Arabia. Decreasing this dependence on oil resources has been one of the goals of Riyadh since the 1970s. However, the implementation of this goal has been unstable and remains largely dependent on the price of oil. The core priority is to be able to develop alternative sources of revenue for the government, such as taxes, fees, and income from other non-oil sector. Another major aspect is to lower the dependency of the country's citizens on public subsidies and increasing the portion of the economy contributed by the private sector to provide more employment opportunities. Keeping this scenario in mind, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia Mohammed bin Salman gave his Vision 2030 in 2016. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 is a comprehensive plan that aims to transform the country's economy and society. The plan seeks to reduce the country's dependence on oil revenue and diversify the economy. Key goals include reinforcing economic and investment activities, increasing non-oil international trade, and promoting a softer and more secular image of the kingdom. The vision has three main pillars. The first pillar is a thriving economy. The Saudi government plans to diversify the economy by developing new industries, attracting foreign investment, and encouraging entrepreneurship. The government aims to reduce its dependence on oil revenue and generate additional revenue by privatizing some state-owned companies, such as Saudi Aramco. This plan aims at Saudization of jobs instead of foreign nationals. The second pillar is a vibrant society. The Crown Prince plans to invest in education, healthcare, and entertainment to promote a more vibrant and inclusive society. The government is also taking steps to increase the participation of women in the workforce and empower them to become more active members of society. Women are now allowed to drive, and there are plans to increase their participation in leadership positions in both the public and private sectors. The government has also established the General Entertainment Authority, which aims to promote entertainment and cultural events in the country. The government is investing in sports and cultural events to attract tourism and promote the country's rich heritage. The program includes initiatives such as building cinemas and concert halls, promoting tourism, and hosting international sporting events. The third pillar is an ambitious nation. MBS plans to make Saudi Arabia an ambitious nation by investing in mega projects. One of the key initiatives of Vision 2030 is NEOM, a new city that is being developed in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. The city is being designed as a hub for technology, innovation, and sustainability. It is expected to contribute significantly to the country's GDP and create thousands of jobs. The city is being developed in partnership with international investors and companies. Some notable projects include New Taif Project, Mukab, Diriyah Gate Project, Al-Qidiyah Project, Al-Faisalia Project, Downtown Jeddah. Renewable Energy Project, Amala Project, King Salman Energy Park, Al-Ula Vision, Great Mosque of Mecca, and the Red Sea Project, and so on. Vision 2030 aims to increase the private sector's contribution to the GDP from 40% to 65%. It includes several incentives, such as allowing 100% foreign ownership of companies and reducing the time and cost required to start a business and issuance of on-arrival tourist visa. The entertainment sector in Saudi Arabia has experienced significant changes, including the lifting of bans on public music concerts, women attending sports events, and the construction of new movie theaters. The country also hosted various international events, such as the MDL Beast Music Festival, and signed a partnership with the WWE to hold annual events in Saudi Arabia. Women's rights have also improved, with the right to drive vehicles and the lifting of travel restrictions. Vision 2030 is attractive but not free of challenges. The kingdom's alleged involvement in Jamal Khashoggi's murder has forced many international companies to back out of the initiative. Major media houses withdrew as partners. After the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi, there has been a general reluctance among the international community to invest in Saudi Arabia. In addition, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman announced in January 2016 that an IPO of Saudi Aramco would take place. However, only 5% of the company has been made public. Furthermore, the Vision 2030 only depends on the Crown Prince, and if he is removed from office, all investment will move away. Certain think tanks speculate that the plan's goals are overly ambitious, and noted that so far, the growth was insufficient and would threaten the plan's successful implementation if pace remains slow. The ultra-conservative elements of society are against the social reforms plans, and if those elements are not dealt with, the kingdom can see an Iranian revolution. As not all expressed satisfaction that Saudi Arabia lifted the driving ban on women. Moreover, the political reform appears to be absent from the policy agenda, and structural disadvantages of the country such as weak institutions, inefficient bureaucracy, and significant skill gaps between labor demands and the education system hinders the growth prospects of the country. Rebalancing the job market in the private sector will also prove to be a challenge, since it is currently mostly staffed by foreign nationals. One of the difficulties is that the private sector has lower salaries and foreigners are easier to hire and fire. Currently, twice as many Saudi nationals work in the public sector than in the private sector. The challenge lies in getting a larger portion of nationals to accept lower-paying jobs with more hours than typical public jobs. Another aspect is the zero tolerance to corruption that may be very difficult to achieve with a society where family, tribal, and regional ties are stronger than the broad conception of state identity. The hosting of sporting events in Saudi Arabia under the strategy have been described as attempts to sportswash the country's human rights record. In one incident, the government's male guardianship system and tracking of women through the Abshir app have faced criticism from human rights groups. Additionally, a crackdown on dissent and imprisonment of individuals, such as Salma al-Shahab, have raised concerns about the country's commitment to human rights. In July 2022, Mohammed bin Salman released a promotional video, taking further the plans to build a 105-mile-long linear city, dubbed as the Line, part of NEOM. The project was designed to incorporate flying cars, robotic maids, and an artificial moon between two parallel mirrored buildings. However, critics said it is too utopian. They were concerned that the utopian idea of the line will harm the environment. Some say, this seems impossible, greatly limited, or just plain artificial. The project also remained questionable due to the possibility of its completion. It was noted that it could take nearly 50 years to give life to the idea, but planners of the line were under a pressure to complete it by 2030. Moreover, some of the Saudis' failed ambitious projects of the past also left the linear city's construction idea in doubt. Overall, Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 is an ambitious plan to transform the country's economy and society. Despite Saudi Arabia's commitment to diversify its economy, the government today still is dependent on oil exports for its budget. Following the financial crisis faced by the country amid the coronavirus spread and falling oil prices, which led the kingdom to delay mega projects such as the NEOM city, shows that to remove oil dependence, the kingdom needs to keep on selling oil for funding its ambitious projects.